Okay, so I think we need to sit and talk a little bit about the Halo series. I just got done watching the first episode on Paramount Plus. This was a series that I was highly anticipating, and finally the first episode is here. I watched it, and I noticed a lot of controversy from people, not only on the internet, but people in my inner circle, people that are close to me, that were messaging me just like, I don't understand what's going on with this show. Why would they do this? So we're going to talk a lot about this first episode and some details on it. So if you haven't seen it, there's going to be some spoilers in this video. So to kind of just brief everybody, I am a massive Halo fan. I am wearing my Covenant Escape shirt from the Halo convention from a couple years ago. I have every Halo game and every other version of Halo you could possibly find. Massive Halo fan. I even have the mark branded on me. I have the tattoo right there on the side of my neck with the Wheelman medal tattooed on the other side. So I am a massive fan of Halo. There was a lot of controversy within this episode because toward the end of the episode, Master Chief takes off his helmet. And a lot of people were like, why are you taking off your helmet? Master Chief doesn't take off his helmet. Well, Master Chief has taken off his helmet. He took his helmet off at the end of Halo 4. Not only that, there are other sources other than the games that Master Chief has taken his helmet off, especially in this movie right here, The Fall of Reach. It's an animated feature. And you can even see a young John Spartan 117 right there without his helmet and the reflection of his helmet. And Master Chief takes off his helmet within this animated movie. Now, here's my thing of this series. Now, whenever you're taking a video game or a comic book or a novel and you're adapting it to a different medium, whether it be a movie or a TV series, you have to make certain changes to appeal to a larger audience. Yes, Halo is trying to bring in those hardcore fans, but it's also trying to appeal to beyond the bubble. I can use the same comparison for anything, whether it be Spider-Man or any of the MCU movies, any of the DC movies. Sonic the Hedgehog was a massive success. You know, they are not reliant on just the people that play the games in the video games or the comic books, because when you're relying on the fans of those particular products, you're only getting a small minority of people compared to a vast majority of people who aren't familiar with the project. So you have to make certain changes, you know, and that goes with any adaptation. You can't just rely on the hardcore fans, because the hardcore fans aren't going to be enough to push your movie to be successful or your series to be successful. You want to bring those hardcore fans in, you want to make them happy, but at the same time you want to appeal to a larger audience. Now with Spartan 117, John Master Chief taking his helmet off at the end of this episode, how do I feel about that? Well, I'm perfectly fine with it, because within this game and within this series, you got to look at it from two different ways. When you're playing the games, when you're playing the Halo video games, you are Master Chief. You are on the journey of the Chief. In Halo Combat Evolved, you are Master Chief on the Halo ring, trying to figure out what's going on, what's the importance of this ring and all this stuff. You are Master Chief. You are inside the helmet. You know, so you don't need to see your own face because it's a FPS, first-person shooter. You are inside the helmet, and it's been that way through all the Halo games. Even in Halo Reach, when we start playing Halo Reach, you see Spartans taking off their helmets left and right, and then in Halo 4 you started seeing Spartans like Sarah Palmer and then Locke taking off their helmets. You know, Master Chief took his helmet off at the end of Halo 4, and although we didn't get a detailed look at his facial features, we saw his face. You got to understand that there is a lot of lore when it comes to Halo. A lot of lore. And they tried to explore the lore a lot in previous movies like Forward Unto Dawn, where they really explained the war between the outer and inner colonies and how the Spartan Project was actually made to keep the outer colonies in check, and then the Covenant attacked, and then the Spartans kind of basically went against the Covenant, and the outer colonies, inner colonies ended up working together to take on this bigger threat. And they really explored that into Forward Unto Dawn, where Master Chief shows up at the end. He doesn't take his helmet off, but he does show up at the end. In this episode, you can see where the Outer Rim colonies are worried about the UNSC. They're worried about the Spartans. Not only are you dealing with the Covenant and the Prophets, you're also dealing with what Halsey did to these kids and how Halsey went in and actually kidnapped children and experimented on children to create these Spartans. And a lot of these children did not survive the whole procedure to become Spartans. Some of them lost their minds. Some of them died. Some of them, like a lot of them, just did not make it. And the Spartans that you do see, like Master Chief and some of his team members later on in the game series, these are the rare few exceptions that actually survived Halsey's test. So now we're talking about a series that's really diving in to what it's like to be human. And that was a main theme in Halo 4.
Before this is all over, promise me you'll figure out which one of us is the machine.
That was one of the major themes in Halo 4, where it was Chief battling with his humanity and what it is to be human. Because now we're talking about a show where the scientist has no remorse or anything for humanity and is experimenting on these kids and becoming and making these perfect soldiers. And now with this series, the best thing I'm glad that we're getting a series instead of a movie, and now we can dive in to all the things that Halo is actually. Because a lot of people think, oh, you're just Master Chief and you're shooting aliens. And Halo is so much more than that. And now that we're getting this TV series, now we can go in and explain what's going on. How the UNC really doesn't trust Dr. Halsey. And Halsey's doing all these different experiments and all this stuff. And how is this Covenant thing affecting this Forerunner object that Master Chief found? How is it affecting him? And all this stuff. And then Master Chief takes his helmet off at the end. Right? Like I don't see anything wrong with that. When you're dealing with live action series or movies, you have to understand that these actors that sign up want to be able to show their face. And in the case of Master Chief, it's okay to do so because we are not Master Chief. This is not an FPS game. We're taking an FPS game and turning it into a whole different medium. So as long as they don't change everything about the character, then it doesn't matter if you show Master Chief's face. In fact, it helps us as the audience to be able to sympathize with him more. And that's what it really comes down to. So a lot of people are losing their mind because Master Chief showed his face, but I assure you it is not that big of a deal. I mean, if you're really upset about that, then I don't know how big of a Halo fan you actually are, because when you start looking into the lore of Halo, Halo is more than just Master Chief. You know, like you should get excited because they showed Reach. You know, they showed Charity. Like they showed all this different stuff from the Halo universe in this episode. And we got so many cool things. And if you're just focused on the one thing that, oh my God, Master Chief took off his helmet, then you're really letting yourself down on what Halo is. Because Halo is so much more. Halo has very, very deep and rich lore. And you can really, like, it really fits the series cinematic television series format very, very well, because you can go into a lot of detail on these characters. The few things that did concern me is how much is this girl that's with Master Chief going to influence the show, and how much is the girl who's basically working with the Prophets going to influence the show. Those are two of the concerns I have. And I do know that they're going to deviate from the source material a little bit. But like I said, we have those comic books, and video games. Let's see what this show can do with its own stuff. As long as they stay true to what Halo is, I'm perfectly fine with them deviating from the path. You know, I like what they're doing with Halsey, making Halsey look like this figure that is basically just, you know, doing all kinds of experiments on people, and she doesn't really care for life. You know, I like a lot of stuff that they introduced in this first episode. I thought the first episode was great, but that's just my opinion on it. But like I said, guys, I am a massive Halo fan, and there's a lot of stuff in here that they showed in that first episode. And if you guys go back and just watch some of this other stuff here, you'll notice that it's not that big of a deal. We have seen John 117's face before. It's not the end of the world. But anyway, guys, that's just my thoughts. That is just the opinion of one Halo fan. I can't, speak for everybody, but I thought the first episode was fantastic. I can't wait to see the next episode and see where they go with the series. And hopefully we get a few seasons out of this. But I want to know what you guys think. Be sure to leave those comments in the comment box below, guys. Also, if you can, jump over to my gaming channel and subscribe to my gaming channel. I'm kind of Halo psyched now, so I might be doing some Halo content. Thank you guys for watching. Till next time, guys. Later.